There is a specific, quiet kind of heaviness that lives in the notification center of your phone. It is the weight of a text message that you read 3 weeks ago, mentally replied to, but never actually typed out. Every time you unlock your screen, you see that name, and you feel a small, sharp pang of guilt. You tell yourself you will reply tonight when you have more energy. But tonight comes and you are exhausted, so you push it to tomorrow. Days turn into weeks, and suddenly what started as a simple delay has transformed into a wall of silence. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to break that silence. Now, a simple hello feels insufficient. You feel that you owe them an explanation, a long apology, or a good excuse. And because you do not have a good excuse other than being overwhelmed by life, you say nothing at all. You watch your friends drift away, not because you stop loving them, but because you are paralyzed by the shame of your own absence. If this sounds familiar, I want you to know that this is not a sign that you are a bad person or a terrible friend. It is a very specific, modern form of exhaustion, and it deserves to be understood with compassion. Let us explore what is actually happening in this dynamic. We often label this behavior as flakiness or laziness, but those words are unkind and inaccurate. What you are likely experiencing is the shame isolation cycle. It usually begins with a simple mismatch of energy. You receive a message when your social battery is already depleted. Perhaps you have spent the entire day performing at work or managing the emotional needs of your family. Your brain marks the message as a task requiring emotional labor, so you postpone it to protect your remaining energy. The problem arises when the delay triggers shame. In your mind, the unread message stops being a communication and starts being a debt. It sits there, accruing interest every single day. The shame tells you that you have failed the expectations of friendship. To avoid feeling that shame, you avoid the person who triggered it. You withdraw further to protect yourself from the feeling of inadequacy. This creates a paradox where you isolate yourself from the very connection you crave, all because you are too overwhelmed to bridge the gap you created. This dynamic is often compounded by the nature of digital communication. We live in an era that demands constant, instantaneous availability. We carry our social networks in our pockets, which means we never truly leave the party. For an introverted or highly sensitive person, this is structurally exhausting. We treat text messages like casual conversation, but for many of us, they feel more like unanswered letters piling up on a desk. We feel a pressure to be on, to be witty, to be supportive, and to be present, even when we are empty. When we view communication as a debt, we start to resent the people we love. We see their check-ins not as gifts of affection, but as demands on our time. This is a painful place to be. You might find yourself staring at a loving message from a dear friend and feeling a wave of irritation, followed immediately by a wave of guilt for feeling irritated. You are not annoyed with them. You are annoyed by the requirement to perform when you need to rest. It is important to look at the stories we tell ourselves during this silence. You might be convinced that your friend is angry with you. You might imagine them sitting at home, stewing over your rudeness, deciding that you are arrogant or uncaring. But this is often a projection of your own internal critic. In reality, your friends are likely just as busy, just as overwhelmed, and just as messy as you are. They might assume you are busy. They might have forgotten they sent the text. They might even be relieved that you haven't replied, because it means they don't have to reply back immediately. We often operate under an all-or-nothing mentality regarding friendship. We believe that if we cannot be the perfect friend who replies within 10 minutes and remembers every birthday, then we are failing completely. We think that if we have been silent for a month, the friendship is over. But this is a brittle view of connection. Real intimacy is elastic. It stretches. It can withstand pauses. A bond that snaps because of a few weeks of silence was likely already fragile. The deepest friendships are not the ones that require constant maintenance, but the ones that possess object constancy. This is the understanding that the relationship exists and remains solid even when you are not actively interacting with it. It is the feeling of picking up right where you left off, whether it has been 5 days or 5 months. This type of friendship is built on a foundation of mutual understanding, not on a ledger of transactional text messages. So, how do we break the cycle of avoidance without forcing ourselves into a performance we cannot sustain? The first step is to declare bankruptcy on your digital debt. You cannot pay back the interest of guilt you have accumulated, so stop trying. Stop waiting for the moment when you will have enough energy to write the perfect, long, explanatory paragraph. That moment may never come. Instead, consider the power of the low-pressure signal. This is a way of reaching out that demands nothing from you and demands nothing from the other person. It is sending a meme without context. It is sending a photo of something that reminded you of them. It is sending a short text that says, "Thinking of you. Life is loud right now, but I love you." These small signals serve as a pulse. They tell the other person that the line is still open, that they are still in your heart, even if they are not currently in your daily schedule. You can also practice transparency about your capacity. It is incredibly healing to simply say, "I am in a phase where I am bad at texting, but I miss you." When you name the dynamic, you take the power away from the shame. You stop hiding behind the silence and invite your friend to see you as you are. Imperfect, tired, but still caring. Most of the time, you will find that they respond with relief, perhaps admitting that they too have been struggling to keep up. There is a myth that we must debunk, which is the idea that friendship is a job. We often act as though we are employees of our social lives, terrified of being fired for poor attendance. But friendship is not about attendance. It is about being known. If your friends only love you when you are performing perfectly, they love your mask, not you. The people worth keeping are the ones who understand that your silence is not a rejection of them, but a reclamation of yourself. As you move forward, try to catch yourself when you feel the urge to apologize for your existence. You do not need to say sorry for taking time to recharge. You do not need to apologize for having a limit to your social battery. Instead of saying, "Sorry, I am the worst and I took so long to reply," try saying, "Thank you for your patience. It is so good to hear from you." Shift the narrative from your failure to the value of the connection. Ultimately, the goal is not to become a better texter. The goal is to become a more authentic human. It is to build a life where your connections are sustained by love, not by obligation. It is to trust that the people who belong in your life are strong enough to handle your silence and soft enough to welcome you back when you return. Imagine for a moment that your friends are not judging you. Imagine they are simply living their lives, parallel to yours, waiting for the moment when your paths naturally cross again. What if you dropped the heavy shield of guilt? What if you sent one small, imperfect wave across the distance today? You might find that the water is warmer than you think, and that you haven't drifted nearly as far as you feared.